Hello, and welcome to a unusual video. Alfred, welcome to the creation of a theoretical sequel to Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So, Tears of the Kingdom is never gonna get a sequel. Nintendo has out-confirmed this. There's gonna be more Zelda games, but nothing more in the world of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But for me personally, this is my favorite iteration Hyrule has ever had. And I finished my playthrough of Tears of the Kingdom about a month or so ago, a little more than that I think now. And it has not left my head. I have not been able to get over this game and how mind-blowing it was to me and how good it was and just how awesome and amazing. This is one of my favorite games ever, you know? Like, I absolutely fucking adore Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild by extension. You know, Breath of the Wild was the best Zelda game ever, by a long shot, or Breath of the Wild was the best Zelda game ever by a long shot, and then Tears of the Kingdom blew it out of the water. And I'd argue it's like twice as good, minimum. And we're never gonna get a third game in this series to make it a trilogy. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun to just work on a hypothetical concept? And so this is part of an endeavor that I'm trying to start doing with my channel, of making my channel less purely gameplay oriented and put out a lot more I'm just playing the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack in the background. I'm gonna skip this song because it's kind of distracting, actually. Yeah, I just have the whole playlist, like, OST in the background. But, like, this is the start of an endeavor to start trying to engage more in creative works on my channel. You know, some people know I've actually begun writing shitty fanfiction after being poked and prodded at by some viewers in my Death Stranding series, and I kind of wouldn't mind trying to do art a little bit more, and I want to try and bring back my game dev vlogs that I had to take a break from, and start to do a little bit less in the way of gameplay content. And so, like, this is part of my first step towards that process. And trying to do that. God, the soundtrack is just giving me garbage. It's either too loud and distracting or too quiet. Here we go, this is good background music. It's like, this is just the start of that, and like, I don't even know where this project's gonna go. I would love, as this goes, to hear people's thoughts in the comments on YouTube, or join my Discord down below and talk with me directly there. Give me your thoughts, tell me what you'd want. I stream this on Twitch, so you can always catch me live and talk to me there. And to start this off, I've just sort of opened up the Tears of the Kingdom map in my art program. Now, this is not a very good Tears of the Kingdom map. If I zoom way in, you can see it's really fucking low quality. I spent a good, like, 2.5 hours trying to find a good fucking map, and like, I could not. The part of the problem is, like, there's 30 different interactive map projects out there that muddle the search water so fucking bad when I'm just trying to find a blank Tears of the Kingdom map. So the first thing I'm gonna throw out, if anybody thinks they can find something out there better than this, please join my Discord and direct it to me. Throw me a link, throw me the image, help me get a higher quality image to work on this project, because God, I would fucking I would kill for that. But so, my thought process going into this right now is I want to basically imagine what the Tears of the Kingdom map would look like if the development of Hyrule continued down the track it was on. And so to start that off, we're just gonna go ahead and, you know, this is our base layer, this is the base map, I'm just gonna lock that layer, and we're gonna do a new layer, turn its transparency down, and this is gonna be the development map. This is like me painting in what regions have already been developed. And so first off, let's talk about some thoughts I have about, would the map change? What would change on the map? I'm gonna, for the purpose of this, for now, not touch geography. I'm just gonna let the geography sit as it is and not affect things. And I think the Sky Islands are gone. I'm gonna be very liberal about Tears of the Kingdom spoilers. I think the Sky Islands are gone. I feel like the ending of the game made it pretty clear that they were going away and they were vanishing to whatever weird other world they were in. And I feel like if Nintendo were to, do a third game, they would also get rid of all the shrines, and they would also close the chasm, the holes to the underground. If they were going to do this. Now, I'm not gonna do that, because I like the holes to the underground, and I like the underground and what it can propose. What vibes it gives. So let's quickly go in, and let's just start to paint in a development map of places where we know there's like major development. Let's turn down the opacity a little further. So like, we know that there is development here. We know that there is development here in Goron Village, and also running all up around here, really. And up around the entire crater. Really, the Gorons are probably the people who came out of this whole situation the best. That's supposed to be the meat lake, Jesus Christ. Because, like, all of this is thoroughly developed land at this point for the Gorons. The Zoras have heavy development all around Zora's domain. And here. I'm not going to count all of the bridges they have into development, because, like, theoretically they're maintaining them, but we don't really see a lot in the way of development at them. So I'm just going to mark all of this as developed land. Now, this, if I'd been doing for Breath of the Wild, up here would have been developed land, where the lab is, but they've abandoned that tech lab. So I don't think it counts as developed land anymore for the purpose of this discussion. Terrytown, though. Terrytown has very much developed, with all of this being part of it. God, I wish I had a higher quality map. Listen, I looked so fucking hard. And I'm gonna make what I think could be a controversial statement and call, I believe this is where it was, Link's home developed land for the purpose of this discussion. We have developed land down here in and around the Hitano area. Hitano Village is all developed. Kokoriko Village is all developed. We have Karakara Bazaar and Gerudo Village are developed land. And Rito Village is developed land. And I'm even going to count the area right out front where they're building the news place. And up here is also developed land. And actually, let's fold in. They've got a little cabin over here somewhere. And up around, I believe this is it. God, I really wish I could have found a better quality map. I looked so hard for a high quality map. Please, if you have one, throw it to me. Give me the higher quality map. And I think that's all. Oh, I almost forgot a major settlement. There's, of course, all down here would be developed land, where Laurelin Village is. And at this point, I'm going to make something that I'm sure a lot of people will view as a controversial statement. I do not count the stables as developed land. In my eyes, the Stable Association is supposed to represent some lost nomadic culture of Hyrule who try to move to the fringes of society where they will also be able to bump into traders. Let's skip this battle music. Skip the... There we go. I feel like I'm not going to count the stables, and a big part of what's backing up my thought is two things. The stable here, that used to be here, is closing and shutting down. And I think that's because they used to be at the very fringe of Hyrule, at the edge of the inhospitable desert. But as the desert becomes more friendly, and the way that things happen there has changed, the stable no longer feels like it's in a fringe territory anymore, and so they're moving away. And also, the stable that had been up here in Breath of the Wild moved down here in Tears of the Kingdom. Why is that? To transport itself to a newly developing trade route that was being more heavily used, while also still being in a fringe society location. So I don't think I'm going to count the stables, and I'm going to view the stables as a fluid thing that can move. And so, with that, the next stage of determining, or I will quickly say, while I said the Sky Islands disappeared, I believe there are 2 exceptions to that. The Zora source, I think, is still floating above here. It did not go away with everything else. I feel like there are implications that that was a structure that was always there. And similarly, the Skyboat, I think, is still around, and the Ritu will have Rita, people pronounce it differently, will have flown down here and settled in this region. And so now, with that, I want to talk about, the rebuilding efforts of Zelda and Link and the major trade networks of Hyrule. Because I feel like the rebuilding effort will primarily focus itself on rebuilding, or building up the existing towns and rebuilding Central Hyrule. And that's where we're going to add in the next layer, the build layer, which is, this is the stuff that I think is going to get built up by the people of Hyrule in the aftermath of Tears of the Kingdom. Like, this is, we're basically doing a bunch of fan fiction speculation shit here, but let's pick a nice sky blue for the color for this. Let's go with a deeper blue. So, there's obviously an intent going on, we could see it in the game, to rebuild all of this. That's still not a good color. See, green popped good. I think this works good. There we go. I think they want to, there's a very clear intent to rebuild all of this, and I don't think they're going to abandon the hope to rebuild the castle. So that's going to be the first main area they rebuild, and with this whole rebuilding process, we need to figure out what roadways are most likely going to be getting used. Now, Zelda has a home down here, but was obviously going to want to eventually move to the castle and rebuild it. And so I think that this road system is going to gradually become more and more heavily traveled, especially because Hateno is currently the major, basically the capital of Hyrule at this point. But the people are going to start migrating to the castle as it's rebuilt. And I think they're going to take this lower road because it's the more obvious path to connect. And when this split in the road is hit, we have to question which way are they going. And if the destination is Hyrule Castle, I feel like it would make a lot of sense for people to be stopping up at Kokoriko Village. Kokoriko? Another one of those things that everybody pronounces differently. And this road will become more and more populated, more and more used, and become sort of a major highway of travel and commerce. And I believe this bridge I'm passing over here is an old stone bridge, which would encourage the maintenance of it even more if what I'm thinking is correct, and that's how it is. And that's going to become like a major roadway as Hyrule expands and grows again. And this folds in, all the other major settlements are going to want to become part of this rapid expansion and this reinvigoration of the land. And so we can probably expect the Zoras to reinforce not just this roadway, but if we're being real, they're probably going to get the entire Zora River somewhat built up again, because there's clear signs of ancient ruins, like of Zora carvings and mountainside, that for some time this was once meant to be an important region. And then I think it's going to be the road running right through this marshland is going to be the one that is the focus of transportation and getting around. There's a major road there in Breath of the Wild, and I don't think people would just ignore the old roadway that ran through here, even if it's marshland. And Terrytown, being a new bustling economic and technological advancement center, is also going to build out. Not just from the angle of the bridge at the end of it, but I think also out this new back end they have going. And we will see both of these roads become, again, major thoroughways for travel in an expanding Hyrule. Man, this is a weird video for my channel. Let me know what you think in the comments below, people, if you've made it this far into it. And that would then connect up very naturally to this road system. Next is the Gorons, with this road system obviously just being kept in heavy use, so long as there's not another major eruption of Death Mountain changing everything, which, let's be real, is entirely possible. The entirety of Death Mountain's infrastructure is very fluid, but I do have a theory. Now that the lost city of whatever the fuck it was called has been rediscovered, people are gonna push down. I think 100% the Gorons are gonna go up to the crater of Death Mountain and build a rail system that runs down to it, and just like in ancient times of older Zelda games, try to live in Death Mountain. And I think that this village on the surface is going to slowly become a Hylian village, because the Gorons live in the deep heat underneath Death Mountain, excuse me, mining out all of its deep ore. Hylians will move into the abandoned Goron villages and mines on the surface. From here, I feel like the most obvious roads that will get built up are going to be this one for sure. But I also don't think we should underestimate the likelihood that this road will be given attention in a endeavor of intense trade between, let's make our thing a little bit bigger. Increased trade between Gorons and the Tarians and Zoras and all of that. Which I think would also start to very much rope all of these roads into being major roads again. The roads near Central Hyrule will all have, I think, a fairly high likelihood of becoming major roadways again. I could also see a cultural clash going on in Kokoriko Village as they debate whether or not they should try and become a hidden village again. And we might even see a situation like what happened in Tears of the Kingdom, where we have two Kokoriko villages going on. A secret hidden one and a more publicly known one. You know, they might move, like, we might see a schism similar to what's going on with the Yiga, where a group of, a group of Sheikah, unhappy with the direction their people are taking with the Zonai research team and everything, pick up and may build another hidden village in some inhospitable mountainous area somewhere. Next, let's talk about the Rito. So, there's this weird element of the Rito of, they can fly. Why would roadways build up with them? Well, they need to transport their goods still somehow. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't see this bridge down here lasting much longer. I forget the name of the bridge, but the bridge that's located here is in fucking shambles. If I was actually in the world of Hyrule, I would never, ever, ever cross that fucking bridge. Ever. And so I think, in the long run, we're gonna see a lot more people traveling this northern road. And as a result, this northern road getting infrastructure built up on it. And so this road, going all the way down through this beautiful rolling hills region, will get built up. And we can likely see these roads joining in the rebuild effort, and being part of the Hyrule that is very much rebuilt. And similarly to how the Gorons would want to reach out to the Zoras, they're going to want to reach out to the Rito neighbors. And, you know, that's why this road exists in the fucking first place in the game. You know, this was built specifically to connect to the Rito, I feel like. Then there's just one more corner of Hyrule that's heavily populated that I want to really focus on. And that's the Gerudo. I think this new temple is going to be viewed as very important to the Gerudo. Oh, and you know what? I'm realizing I missed something. In the dev layer, I'm using the right green, right? I think it's around here. God, this map is garbage. They have the fucking ice hut. Yeah, and I will say that the whole building up of infrastructure going on is probably going to be much less of a heavily focused on thing in the Gerudo Desert beyond maybe just adding a road. Or a road or two, you know, like a new road leading to the temple. And like the road, maybe a bridge over this, but I'm gonna go ahead and flag all this up just because these are going to be heavily traversed roads. And I could totally see a lot of the old quarries and mines and dig sites here in the canyon getting built, you know, restored and being utilized more heavily again. You know, there's this cave system over here, you know, and they want to keep that river, I feel like, but we could see all of this get very active again, has mining and digging sites with the Gerudo. And then this road running up here. And from here, we got a question, which of the many routes would they be taking to get to Hyrule? And I do think that the one that's most likely to get built up is this one here, for reasons I will go over in the near future. This route is going to become a major throughway. Now, so look at that. Now, you'll notice there's one village I didn't connect. Laurelin. And that's because I don't think people are going to want to trudge through the old jungle unless you're an archaeologist exploring it. Rather, I think what's more likely to occur is we see the people of Hateno finally go down and claim not just this section, but this entire area. Because in a world where monsters aren't respawning under blood moons constantly, the monster control crew is going to start to push back monsters eventually. And so I think we'll see this entire area become the next expansion to Hateno. And I will say right along that, I could 100% see Hateno expanding down to this area here, and with this into this old, like, horse track place here. I could see that whole area becoming an expansion to everything. And I don't think these people are going to expand much. I think they're going to be very happy with their small village community vibe. Yeah, the Gerudo, beyond expanding into the canyon, I don't see expanding a whole lot. And the Rito, I think, are going to be more than happy with their new giant ship that they have. The next thing I want to look at is where the fuck all of the towers are. Because I think the towers are going to be the burgeoning of new research facilities and, long-term, new townships. So give me a moment. Because let's be real, you're not just going to build those towers and abandon them. Those are going to remain an important facet of your civilization, you know? And in that same vein, the, you're going to need to maintain them. So there's going to be at least some form of small community building up around every single tower. So let's see here. Up here, the two towers we have are one up on this mountain area. So we could definitely see this entire area building up into sort of a expansion of the Rito village with a mix of Hylians and Ritos. And similarly, I could actually see small population centers creeping up all along the edge of the crater here, like this. You know, not necessarily an entire town, but lots of little houses and farmlands. Because that's the thing that we're going to need to see a lot of is, as the kingdom's population grows, agriculture has to come back. Farms need to return. Ranches, all of that is going to return and start to have to expand. Then there's also a tower located around here on top of these, and so I think we could see an entire village being built underneath the rock sheets that are located here in the game, with a new road system being built in to connect to it, like this. You know, something just sort of like that. Then, of course, there's a tower in Typhlo Ruins, and I think in general, people are just going to want to research the Typhlo Ruins, with the main entrance to it being over here. We could easily just see... And I think this would become an entire, like, Zonai research village, essentially. A place where a bunch of Zone I research team people build, like, a whole, like, archaeological dig site place with that tower serving as a central beacon to it. Moving over to the Hyrulean Ridge, we of course have the one that's located over here, which will of course require them to build some sort of road running up to it, which, oh man. You know, I guess the only realistic way to connect would be to have a road that runs down this, around here. And, you know, maybe we could see this bridge getting maintained, but I truly feel like if there was going to be another game, that bridge gets destroyed. God, what a missed fucking part, like, thing from the developers to not put a fucking canyon or a crevasse in the breach of fucking Demise. Always pisses me off. Yeah, the breach of Demise would get a road running through it, and I could totally see this road being built back up. I have no idea why that road was abandoned to begin with, if we're being real. And then, let's see here. There's also a tower located right around here. Where is it located? Hang on. Yeah, right around here. And I do think it would basically just get a road like that once the infrastructure is built up for it. Realistically, I probably should have marked these before I marked the all of the specific roads, because these would have influenced what roads expand out. Oh well, hindsight's 2020. I think we would have seen something like this for that one. Of course, there's the tower up here, and that would basically just see, I think it would be primarily be the Zoras maintaining that by swimming up waterfalls in the area. You know, that one doesn't need much in the way of heavily built infrastructure to reach it. There's a tower located, sorry, I'm just adjusting my mic a little, right around here. And no, that's as simple as just this road reaching over a little. Now this one, so at this point I'm gonna mention another build-up. I was gonna mention cultural touchstones. Areas of incredible cultural importance will of course start to get visited and cleaned and researched and something done with them. And the promenade, not a doubt in my mind, is going to get cleaned out and have its infrastructure shored up. You know, we'd have the whole spiral up to here. And some sort of, like, you know, important worshipping of Lineru. Like, small village built around the tower up there. Next we have this tower. Now this one is one that's actually going to be kind of fucking hard to get to. Pardon my French. I say that, but then I look at, oh, Jesus, fucking combat music. No, stop. Muted my music. There we go. I mean, honestly, you could probably get here pretty easily from the Hitano region just by this route. So we could probably see everything up here, get to some degree the roads built up. Like, me doing this doesn't necessarily mean people are going to be building a bunch of homes in these areas. These are just areas that I think are more likely to be the central keystone regions where you'll find more Hylians compared to areas that are might get, you know, not as heavily looked at and become slightly overgrown. And this southern face here on another map is very clearly much more rocky, so while I think you could easily get a pathway through here, I don't think you could very easily get a pathway down here. And then there's a tower located here, which I think this actually gives the strongest case for the Dueling Peaks Road being, still being heavily used. And by extension, us seeing a path down over here. And then now we get to the last two towers, and the ones that pose the most interesting dilemma. The ones in the mountain tops here. So this one has the Gerudo Canyon and mining stuff expands. You know, I could totally see right on here a big Gerudo, like, mining encampment being built. But the one up here, how the fuck do they ever intend to maintain this thing? Well, there's something else located here. A base of a certain evil ninja clan that will need to be taken out eventually, that is clearly built in the ruins of what was once a significant Gerudo location. I think by the time a third game, so to speak, happens, the Gerudo will have expanded over and taken out the Yiga clan in their region, and turned this area into a like another Gerudo Canyon expansion of their cultural footprint, as they grow out and start to claim the land around them more. At that, I'm gonna now sip my drink. Now, the next big focus I have of places that I think are going to see a lot of build-up are important cultural touchstone locations. And the first of which is, there is no universe where they do not try and go and rebuild the Great Plateau, especially now that Link opened the footpath up to it. So this whole area will get built up. And in the same vein, I can see them doing something with the arena. You know, like, they wouldn't just leave that there. Then again, maybe they would, and it'd be like a Roman Colosseum situation. Think about that one. I'll think about that one. But yeah, the Great Plateau is too culturally significant. In the same vein, Linear Promenade would have been brought in at this segment if it hadn't already. Same goes for the Zonai Ruins. I feel like the Zonai Ruins have become too fascinating of a location for them to just ignore. And this is the expansion that I would call the Phase 1 of expansion, with the primary focus being, you know, infrastructural growth. You know, the build segment. That would then be followed by the Curious segment. I'm just gonna put CUR for that. What I mean by the Curious segment of expansion is, like, this is when we're specifically going, okay, hang on, let's look at ruins and other culturally significant things, and in particular, chasms. I think there's going to be a want to go and dig into as many of these chasm regions as we can. So we're going to see a big endeavor here, because that's the biggest chasm, and it was one that was open even before the upheaval. You know, we'd see, for the same reason, there would be some stuff going on there. This chasm, I think, is significant enough, along with all of the mining processes going on, that we could see a roadway built across here, across the mountainside, just to get there and go down. This would get built, but I think that would have a knock-on effect of having a build-up along this entire area, where there was once a village in olden days, and we could see, that village come back to its glory. And I just wanna... yeah, I feel like that looks a lot better. Slightly paler and more transparent. In a similar vein, this hole is too close to not get a dig team going down into it. Same goes for this one. You know, the Zonai research team would really, I think, start to heavily dedicate themselves to exploring the underground, and maybe even creating underground highways of sorts, just for their research purposes. And in the same vein, I think the Yiga clan would almost fully retreat underground during this stage of Hyrule's development. This hole we already saw has a big piece of interest, and I think would end up getting a whole small town built around it, because it's so close to the capital. You might see a small group of people around this one. You might see a small group of people around this one, especially because there is a ruined village here, so we could see that getting built back up. And again, like a part of this stage, I would see another old lost village here, simply due to the chasm hole existing there and the old ruins existing. People rebuilding the village. I think it's Gakapon village or Gunkapon or something like that. I could see this whole village getting rebuilt back up during this stage. The Gorons, of course, already have a foothold and has an expansion. I don't think they'd build any new homes. I think they'd have a lot of homes in the ruins here, and then they'd have this, or maybe they'd have a little town here so as to not affect the ruins too heavily. But I don't think they're worried about that, considering they built a big tower smack dab in the middle of it. I think the chasms would draw more attention than the labyrinths, and so the labyrinths would still go relatively untouched. Similarly, I could see, this area getting a lot of attention still, or as a result of all of this. And of course, the Bolson Construction Company would be very much pulled into helping with all of this stuff. Oh! The cultural touchstone, or the cultural touchstone. Oh, I guess that's what we're on right now, is the cultural / research. In this phase, they would also point attention back to, like, rebuilding and revitalizing the old Akala Citadel, and maybe even building a town around its base, around the chasm. And I think that's all the chasms that would be significant enough to draw a significant eye of research teams. Because, there's other ones. I don't think there'd be a lot of people touching the forest here in this old marsh zone. I think that a lot of this would remain, especially because it's so close to the Lost Woods, as it is. And it's like, these are the areas that I think would be the centralized focus of Hyrule building up. And then I'm going to put one more layer. And some of these are a little fast and loose and may not be built up in the exact order I'm putting. The Prosperous layer. These are the areas that start to really get heavy infrastructure as Hyrule gets back on its feet fully. As Hyrule becomes rebuilt and is like what it's meant to be. We'll see things like all of the ranches here being rebuilt. The villages around this area, because there's a bunch of villages scattered around here being rebuilt. Maybe this is when the Colosseum, if not being rebuilt, becomes a major cultural touchstone. Give me a moment. I'm looking at the other map I have on the side here. We might see a little bit going on here, but honestly, the Hylian Bridge, I think, is just gonna exist as it is and not have a lot done to it. At the most, we might see a fishing mini-game built in the area. We'd have a bunch of research camps scattered around ruins here, but I don't think enough that they'd be building up full-fledged infrastructure. I think they'd more so use this town here as a touchstone to go out and explore the jungle. Because, building infrastructure in jungle is not easy. But yeah, as the Prosperous stuff goes, I could see even going as far back out as Fort Hitano being reclaimed in the growth of the Hitano region process. All of this being turned into villages and settlements. And let's not forget the cave that runs through here. Potentially we could see something with that, but I don't think I'm going to bother marking that, really. I could see 100% the area around Tarrytown building up even more than it is right now. And honestly, like, Tarrytown and the settlements around Akala sort of interconnecting into one major city to rival Castletown, albeit having that weird, shitty, blocky architecture that we see. Maybe even reaching up around here a little bit, since Link's Home is already showing they're expanding that direction. Like, just look at this. Oops, not what I meant to do. This right here is a blob that's already rivaling Castletown. Which, I don't think, I do think, that Castletown would also probably end up going a little bit, maybe leaving the islands clean, but... Oh, actually, hang on, that area's a whole area's a quarry, isn't it? Yeah, so we'd probably see this whole quarry get active again. And the Castletown prison was located up here, so hang on. So we could probably see all of this becoming part of the greater Castletown. And no build up there, but that would likely be a park region, because I believe it's supposed to be, the Hyrule Forest Park. All of this would be likely built up into the greater Castletown region. Oh, Mabe Village Ruins is located over here. So yeah, this would all end up becoming Castle Town and outer surrounding communities and farmland, probably stretching all across all of this. Yeah, everything between the Hyrule Garrison and Ranch Ruins would probably just become farmland. So we could see all of this build up to be the central Hyrulean farm. You know, like I said, when they begin to enter their prospering stage, they're going to need agriculture. This becomes Hyrule's greenbelt, you know, where a majority of the food comes from. We could even maybe see some pastures and farming communities build up around here. And like, I don't think we'd see anything built here because it's so harsh. I think we'd have this town build up here, and that's all that would appear there. I could definitely see, as this prospering continues, the Gorons easily enveloping all of that. If not Gorons, then other humans moving into the mountain region, and maybe even as far down as all of this being claimed up again. If not by the Gorons, then maybe by some other people creating another footpath, maybe another road getting built here. But the whole Death Mountain region is so volatile that it's hard to nail down anything that might change there. Roads can open and change and be totally different all the time. And I think with that, oh, and you know what? We saw the inklings of people beginning to move to this island. I think we would end up with an expansion of Lurelin, with main Lurelin becoming a resort town, people being happier with their fishing village origins, probably be moving out to this island and having a small dock there that is used as the main touchstone to go back and forth. And I think that is the primary way I foresee Hyrule expanding in the future. And so I mentioned this is me creating a hypothetical sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, right? So, in my brain, if Nintendo was going to make another Tears of the Kingdom game, I think the premise would be the Yiga clan, in a almost homage to Legend of Zelda 2, attempting to defeat Link. Excuse me, I'm gonna sip my drink. Attempting to defeat Link and revive Ganon by traveling Hyrule and gathering the scales of Dragon Ganon or some shit. And Link having to, and the leader of the Yiga clan, who's been almost a subtle joke, you know, he was a joke in the first game, a bit more of a threat in the second game, and if there was a third, he would be like the main antagonist trying to revive Ganon, I think. I think that would be a funny arc to go down. And you would have to go across Hyrule and talk with all of your sage friends and collect some new bullshit artifact thing they've MacGuffined up in order to defeat them. And maybe the underground would get an expansion, or I don't fucking know, something like that. I don't see that ever happening. So, when I'm saying I'm brainstorming a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, I'm more so imagining... I want to try and use this project to imagine Tears of the Kingdom's Hyrule a couple generations down the line, when the next major threat springs up, you know, like, I'm talking the distance of time between Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, where those are very clearly the same Hyrule, but different, with time having passed in it. I'm thinking something like that. And so this is a Hyrule that has rebuilt, has fully recovered from the calamity. And I think this is me I'm using this to look at what places would have gotten rebuilt in that scenario. What places would the focus of the rebuild have gone? And I wouldn't mind taking this in the direction of maybe running a Tears of the Kingdom tabletop campaign that I run on stream. People have definitely seen at this point that, you know, I'm putting an emphasis on tabletop again on my channel, with Hero Infinite coming back, and Hero Infinite having come back, and Shadow Space going on, you know, I had tried to do a Fallout tabletop campaign a while ago, and that fell apart, and I had tried to get a couple others going, but they never really took off. And so, but I want to do more creative stuff with the channel. I want to be creative with my channel and have the chance to do fun, creative things. And this project is me giving myself a kick in the butt to do that. As I'm going to begin working on a Tears of the Kingdom sequel tabletop campaign set 100 years after the death of Ganon. The same gap that Link had been asleep for previously, we are now following, and it is now Zelda's granddaughter and Zelda and Link's grandchild. You know, the grandchildren of the sages. Most of the sages we dealt with in that game are gone, passed away, deceased. You know. But the legend of the sages has been reawoken, and sage trials are now a thing held. And I want to try and create a tabletop campaign for my friends in which they get to explore a fully rebuilt Tears of the Kingdom Hyrule. And this project was really me sitting down and working on the first step of that. But I don't want this to just be me sitting here and working on a campaign and just throwing it at you. I want to work with my fans. I want to work with all of you who are watching this. And so if you've sat through this 40-minute video and gotten to this point, it shows that you are enjoying this dumb little thought process I was going on, and I think you would enjoy where this is going. And so, like, let me skip this song because it's battle music. Yeah, like, I want to make this something that, like, I engage with my YouTube community and my Discord community with. I want this to be something that we can work together on. So this was me sort of spelling out my initial thought process of how Hyrule would grow over the next 100 years and where that growth would go. And, like, yeah, that's what I want this to be, you know? And I would love to talk with all of you and get your ideas and thoughts. So in the comments below or over on my Discord, tell me what you thought of this. Tell me what you think I could change. What little details of the map I might have missed that you think would be part of the 100-year rebuilding effort. I know for sure there's all over the place the Bolson Construction Company things. I feel like we could look at those and use them to give us an idea of where Zelda was intending rebuilding to begin happening before she vanished. And I could potentially use that to repaint this map, you know? Look at everywhere where there's Bolson construction palettes and mark them up and use that to make educated guesses of what each individual construction palette's intention was in the rebuilding effort, you know? Because, like, that's something that crossed my mind on occasion where I'd see a construction site right next to a river and my brain would go, huh, did Zelda want to build a bridge here? Why? But I didn't really dwell on it during the original playthrough because I didn't want it to, like, distract from the gameplay and everything else going on. But, like, now that I'm done with the game, my brain has been racing with those thoughts and what would happen to this Hyrule. And since Nintendo's outright confirmed they're not going to do more with it, let's us, as a community, do more with it, you know? Like, I'm gonna try and see if I can get it. I usually don't like posting my videos on subreddits or Discord communities because I get a lot of backlash from it because people are like, oh, self-advertising. And, you know, fair enough. If I'm just posting my playthrough of a game, I really am just self-advertising. Even if it's a community I am enjoying engaging with, it seems a little self-centered. But this is one I want to link to because, like, I want engagement. I want this to be a project that is something worked on by the Zelda community, you know? I don't know when this is gonna go live on YouTube. I don't know. I gotta work out a lot of those logistics, and, like, I want this to be a thing that's worked on by the Zelda community and by my YouTube community. I want this to be something that is significant and is built up. I want to do a lot with this, you know? But yeah, I guess that's it for this silly little thought experiment on my channel. And, you know, I want to try and come back to this and do more with it. And, you know, if this video does very well, I probably will come back and do more with this, you know? If you all enjoy this and like the concept and people want me to keep going with it, because I would like to make a Zelda tabletop campaign, and I would think I would like to use Tears of the Kingdom as the basis for that tabletop campaign. And I think that would be very fun to do. So, yeah, I've been Ulrich. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. I didn't really think about how this was gonna end. I didn't really think about how this whole video just sprung from an idea in my head, and this just is how it developed. And I'm kind of happy with it, and I can't wait to do more with it. Yeah, support me on Ko-fi if you enjoyed this. End cards appearing in a moment. I don't even know what I'm gonna put as the end cards to this. Click 1 to continue watching. Part 1 is definitely gonna be the Tears of the Kingdom playthrough. I don't know what the other's gonna be. Love all you very much, and ta-ta for now.